Hey everybody, we're back here again with a Rack Attack Gamer YouTube channel, and the topic is right up Rack's alley, something that he's long been dwelling on and considering as a real danger to the world, and that is the New World Order. And the latest news involving that is that Pope Francis appears to be calling for a new world order, although it's not quite in those terms, but pretty close to it. Rock, what's your take on this?
This particular pope has made many faux pas. Faux pas? What's the word?
Faux pas?
Faux pas, yes. In the past, he's exclaimed many things that do not seem to be traditionally Catholic. So is the Pope Catholic now becomes a serious question instead of just a joke?
Well, case in point, more specifically, this comes out of an encyclical letter that he recently penned called, if my Italian pronunciation is correct, Fratelli Tutti, which means brothers all. And it calls for a new type of political, economic, social order that encompasses the rights and dignity and advancement of all the world, all populations, all nations, which is a departure, he says, from the way it's been. And it's kind of like a successor organization to the United Nations, which he says was only able to go so far along those lines. But now a more cohesive organization is needed to replace that. And he's using phrases such as we need to attain a global, judicial, jurisdictional, political, and economic order to foster international cooperation. It also goes on to say a global network needs to be established and some form of world authority. That's a direct quote from the encyclica, which goes on for quite some time. It's very lengthy. So social media, and especially the conspiracy-oriented posts, are having a field day with this. That now we have Pope Francis calling for a new world order and all the dire consequences that go along with that. Now, I don't know if he actually meant that, but the phrasing to a lot of people seems pretty close to a traditional interpretation of a new world order. And I know you've been very big on this on your research for years. And by the way, for those who may not have been tuning in before with Rack in any of these interviews, Rack obscures his identity for personal security reasons.
Right. We tried a mask. We tried the black silhouette. Now we're trying a little bit of a blur. This one's a little dangerous. I'm pushing it with this.
Only I know your true identity, but they'll have to they'll have to torture me to get it out of me. But I don't know how I can hold up. So,
well, it's going to come out eventually. I mean, if I continue doing YouTube videos, especially, I'd like to do YouTube videos on a regular basis if I ever get my acting gear. But it'll come out eventually. If it does, so what? I don't give a darn that much. But there's no reason to push it. Having people be mad at me. There's a lot of people that would not like my position on certain things, and who knows? I go to a restaurant, and who knows what they will do to my food? That kind of stuff I don't need. So for right now, we'll stay this way. When I start making thousands of dollars on YouTube, then we'll consider maybe coming totally out.
Then you could have your own food taster and all that. So,
right, yeah, and security and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, getting down to topic at hand. What do you make of this with the Pope?
Well, I mean, basically what you've been saying is almost a pure definition of the New World Order that I know, that I've been studying for a long time. That's almost a definition of it. So, I mean, is he announcing it? I mean, we've been talking about this stuff for 20 years. It goes back to a Pat Robertson book, I believe. He came out with a book called New World Order. I think that was in the 90s. This stuff has kind of been known for a long time, that things are heading in this direction. The term New World Order is kind of a loosely thing. You can call it whatever you want. They're now calling it the Great Reset. A lot of people are calling it the Great Reset, and that kind of goes right along with New World Order. So when you hear the Great Reset, which happens to go along with this, let's say, CVID. CVID bug that seems to be affecting people, because we're not supposed to say the word on YouTube, because
Yeah.
that's part of it, so it's just the CVID bug.
Yeah. Well, are we giving it too dire a twist? Well, I mean, isn't the Pope really saying what a lot of Christian leaders have said for millennia, that we need to embrace our fellow man. Everybody has to be a brother to each other. We have to take care of each other and advance the human race in dignity and equality. So it's really nothing new, is it?
There's 7.5 billion people on the earth, and if everybody actually felt that way, then yeah, we could all stand in a big circle together around a fire and sing kumbaya, and everything could be wonderful. That would work if there was no evil people in the world. Let me tell you that there is evil people in the world. Let's suppose the people that are watching this are not evil people. Well, they're going to think of themselves and how they are and how their family is, and they're going to extend that to others. And they're going to think that everybody else is like that. There's not everybody else is like that. There are some very evil, very ambitious people that
All right,
are trying to take over the world. And these are very rich, very powerful people.
all right, Rack. But a point of departure with us now, when we discuss the New World Order, quote the New World Order, is I feel that yes, a lot of things are heading in a bad direction in terms of personal freedoms, in terms of the establishment of more and more repressive government. But is it an ancient organization that's existed for centuries, if not for thousands of years, and it continues through selected people through the ages, and so it's one hidden organization behind all this, or is it just a special interests, powerful people getting together? They're colluding. It's a combination of special interests, very powerful and rich people, which you've had throughout history anyway. But is it the kind of nefarious single organization that you seem to think it is?
The quick answer is yes, it is. It is the nefarious, evil organization. Now, let me say it a different.
Going back centuries.
Well, this is where I'm going to say it a different way. People can't accept this. You're having a difficult time accepting this. Other people are having a difficult time accepting this too. When you hit the word conspiracy theory, it's all of a sudden people can't take it. They shy away from it. It's people like to be herd animals. People like to fit in with the crowd, and the term conspiracy theory has been demonized to such an extent where if it applies to you in any way, people shy away from that. So to say at one level, the level of entry level, I'd say this goes back decades. To go back a little bit further, this goes back hundreds of years. To go a little bit further, it probably does go back thousands of years. This is probably an organization that has been going on for thousands of years, that is purely evil at its core. Now, not at the extension. Like, there's many people that might be working for the New World Order that have really no clue what it's really all about. They just think it's heading in the right direction, but they've been lied to, just like all of us have been lied to our entire lives.
All right, so Pope Francis is part of the New World Order, part
No,
of the
not
inner circle.
necessarily. Not necessarily. There are inner circles that know exactly what's going on. Pope Francis may be one of them. He might be that way. However, it's not necessary. He could truly believe that it's for the betterment of all mankind to have a one world getting together and all working, cooperating, and stuff like that. I mean, it's possible that that's what it is. But there are people that exist that are in on the inner circle that know that this is nefarious, that are trying to squash the good in the world. I'd say religion too, specifically the Judeo-Christian religion. Uh, they are evil to the point of satanic. Uh, they might even be working for Satan, but this is at the extended level that no one can even accept. You can even accept the political level.
All right, Iraq, just a pause here now. You mentioned Satan. Now, you are among those who actually believes literally in the existence of Satan.
Well, only after many years of study. Yeah. I didn't initially. I mean, growing up, if you grew up like me and you were exposed to religion, they tell you such, and you say, whatever, and you sort of take it with a grain of salt, and you don't really think that much about it. But after studying the New World Order, after seeing what's going on, after hearing various things, not only related to the New World Order, hearing things like, for instance, the near-death experience, where both heavenly experiences and hell experiences are had. These things and many more, Lar, mesh together to indicate to me that yes, probably God is very real, and Satan is very real, heaven is very real, and hell is very real.
Uh, Also, I recall you enumerating the number of world leaders in the past who've actually used that term specifically, New World Order. Who are some of them?
Well, there's been many of them. Our own presidents have said this many times. A current president has said it, that we need a new world order. Uh, uh, Obama, he sort of hinted at it. He didn't actually say the words New World Order, but the kind of world order we all would like to see. I think that was his phrase. We have the George Bush announcing it, the first, the Poppy Bush,
Yeah,
Father Bush. Uh,
a number of times. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. It goes with Nixon. It goes all the way back to FDR. There's a video on, well, my video on my channel, Rack Attack Gamer, where you can actually watch a music video, and the very first minute of it has these people saying these terms, New World Order. I edited out, all the rest of their speeches. I just took the words New World Order, and there's many, many of them.
But again, Rack, the way I interpret that is a general call for a better world internationally. Again, does it actually mean that they're aware of and maybe even part of this hidden organization that's existed for centuries that pulls everybody's strings? I mean, is it necessarily that? It could be just a very broad, loose interpretation, aspiring idealistically to a better world. I mean, couldn't it just as equally be that as what you say it is?
For some, yes. The ones on my video, most of them are probably in the know. They're probably at certain high level in the know. For instance, well, I'll tell you ones that ain't. I believe Pierce Morgan is in that video. I don't believe he's in the know. He might just feel the way you are talking about it. There are many people that think that this particular, we don't even have to use the words New World Order, whatever it might be, this globalization, this push for globalization and a one world government, one world monetary system, one world religion, this push for that, some people might think it's just, it's for the best. It's for our future. It's like a Star Trek thing
Yeah,
where,
in fact, Pope Francis does call clearly for some form of a world government. So that would seem to align generally with some of what you're talking about. But again, well, I will say this: there are increasing signs from many directions that we are marching towards a type of population control through control of the media and technology that has never ever been experienced before in history, and partly because the technology didn't exist up until now. The hints of it in George Orwell's 1984, um, it gave us some vision, a frightening vision of what the future could be if this emerging technology was used in a evil way. And of course, Orwell didn't even envision some of the technology we have now. So there are signs that it's converging into a control of the population and international links where everything has some kind of a connection to something else for control. But again, is it one organized entity or just the way the trend lines are going because of the political structures along with the new technology?
I don't know how many ways I can say yes, but yes, it is that way. Many people in your position may, I'm surprised you even come this far, but the people in your position would think maybe it's along the lines of what you just got done saying. Just heading in that direction, corporations and whatnot, mutually working together and stuff. but no, there is a deeper aspect to it that is nefarious. It's evil. It's very evil. And that is the way it is. One of the problems we have in this world today, in my opinion, is that we struggle to get this across to people. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. As soon as you mention anything about it, they automatically equate it with the word conspiracy theory, and that is demonized, and they turn right off. We can't get nowhere. There's 7.5 billion people in this world, and all of them are in trouble, and we can't even get past first base. We can't. First base is even realizing that this stuff is here, and if people look into it like I did, it's amazing that you start to see it everywhere. It's there. It's being done. We're being taken over, and everybody's in trouble because one of the things that they want to do is depopulate the earth to the tune of 7 billion people. This is real. 7 billion people out of this world somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it, but somehow.
Well, when you say this is real, what are the indications of that?
Oh, there's many. We've done videos in the past about this. There's so many that I have tens of thousands in my head where I can only just maybe grasp at a few. The cooperation between banks and corporations, and I'm not shy of material. I'm overwhelmed with material. I don't know where to start. Where do you start like this? The way I started was looking at the street plans of Washington, D.C. and seeing that there's pentagons and stars and pyramids and owls and whatnot in the street plans of Washington, D.C. That at least goes back 200 years. That's pretty darn weird. Then you got Bohemian Grove, bunch of people out there, rich, famous, influential people, CEOs, presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, or no queens, no, not females. All are out there in robes, dancing around a 40-foot owl and burning effigies of a child. I mean, come on. I mean, the more I get into, the more I saw, it just, everything adds together. Any one thing is not going to prove the New World Order. But when you see tens of thousands of things like I have, you're like, whoa, this is real.
To most people, it just seems too bizarre to be real. Maybe it's cognitive dissonance where you can't accept something that's out of your realm of ordinary perceptions or beliefs in things. But it seems so extreme and so absurd that people just can't, it doesn't register with people as having it or as being real.
No, well, I fully understand that. I was in a position to do this research. I was able to do the time and effort in the research. I had that position. A lot of people don't have that luxury. A lot of people don't want to take the time. They have a 9-to-5 job, which, by the way, that kind of stuff is orchestrated too, to keep everybody so busy, so tired out, so active that they can't look into it. The 9-to-5 job, they come home, they have kids to deal with. By the time they put them to bed, they're tired out. They watch a little TV, they go to bed.
Well, you see, now you say that's orchestrated. I differ with you there too. I think it's just a product of the control that big companies have over their workers, especially now with the weakening of labor unions that kept that in check. Again, what I'm saying is these are certain things that develop organically out of the capitalist system. And I don't condemn capitalism per se. I think unregulated, unrestrained capitalism is bad, but capitalism is the most natural system considering human nature. That's why socialism and communism doesn't work.
You talked about large corporations, and I just talked about a person coming home tired from work, children, and then watching a little TV. Well, let's go with the TV aspect of it. What do they call TV? What is a list of shows called in order? What do they call that?
Well, they call it the boob tube. Is that what you mean?
No. What do they call a list of shows in order? 7 o'clock this, 8 o'clock that. Programming.
Yeah.
Programming. All right, no, wait a minute. I'm not done. See, you think I only have 1 point. I have thousands. How about the CBS logo? What's the CBS logo?
That eye.
Right. And what is the New World Order logo, more or less?
The eye, and that's what the eye of Iris, Cirrus.
They say many things. The eye of God, the eye of Satan, the eye of Ra. There's
There's an
many.
Egyptian connection to that, isn't there?
Correct. Eye of Ra, eye of Horus.
Horus, yeah. And
Um,
you
and
say
if you,
that's a logo
we've
that,
talked about corporate logos before. The old AOL logo was like a triangle, and it had a swirl in it that looked like an eye.
all
A
right, but let's,
triangle's like a pyramid. The swirl that AOL had was like an eye.
all right, but
I mean,
let's get back to your uh, conviction that there's so much programming of the population now. The, um, the infotainment that's on the air, a lot of people say that's intentional to condition the population
it is
to dumb down the population.
that too.
I don't think it's necessarily uh, planned that way. What happens is human nature likes to be entertained. So that's why there's far fewer people watching public TV for educational information than, watching a sitcom. It's just human nature. People want to be entertained. They don't want to think that much. So, I mean, it may play into the hands of those who'd like to keep the population ignorant and dumbed down, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was purposely planned that way. It's a result of commercialization. In order for people to be watching, for the commercials to be drawing people in to support the networks, you put on dumb infotainment rather than intellectual fare. So again, in terms of, it was planned to dumb down the population, not necessarily. It happens on its own.
Do you ever hear of manufactured obsolescence?
Yes.
When you came across manufactured obsolescence, I don't know what your reaction was, but my reaction was like, what? You mean they purposely make products to break? I mean, that in itself is a conspiracy.
That didn't
It
surprise.
started kind of with the light bulb. The light bulb could last, a
Right.
1,000 years maybe.
That didn't surprise me, Rack. I mean, again, that's a natural result of the capitalist system.
But again, you think that's my whole point. It's not.
If companies can get away with that, they will, especially when.
What I'm saying is it's a shock when people realize that products are made purposely to fail just so you can go out and buy another one.
Well, I think originally, maybe 50 years ago, people were shocked by it, but it's common assumption today, common knowledge.
I don't think so. Maybe in your higher intellectual circles,
No,
you might feel that way, but I don't believe very many people know about manufactured obsolescence.
Talk to anybody on the street. So, this piece of junk.
We could try it. It's been done. Go take a look at some of the Mark Dice old videos when he was asking people questions. They don't even know what Civil War was or who was in it or.
That's a different issue because they're not teaching history anymore in schools, and the way it was taught was too dry anyway, rather than the story of people and their interactions. But again, it's de-emphasized today, which is a shame.
Every movie, every television show, almost every, let's say 98% or whatever, they are all have elements of what this New World Order globalists or whatever are pushing. You call them whatever you want. They don't even really have a name. New World Order is just a name that got stuck on them. But they are pushing elements of what they want pushed. I went to see a movie a couple years back, and the first 10 minutes of the movie had really nothing to do with the movie, but it was pushing a globalist agenda. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking that was the whole purpose of that. Once you make once you study the stuff for a while and you make the leap and you start to understand what's going on, you can see this stuff being implemented in motion pictures, television shows, commercials, logos, corporate logos. I mean, you see this everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, how about the hand over the eye thing that everybody does?
Yeah, that's interesting. All the celebrities doing that. I haven't found an explanation of why, is that
it's some sort of like a club initiation, which they are announcing to the people in the know that this is a person that's been compromised. That's my guess.
Well, I would say this, this kind of smacks of cancel culture. And I think that is an organized effort to disparage traditional American values and replace it with something else akin to socialism or communism. For instance, like I understand part of the manifesto of Black Lives Matter is to not necessarily preserve the nuclear family, which again is a core value of Western civilization. So there is that kind of effort going on, but that's more identity politics, extreme political correctness, et cetera, et cetera. Again, is that really part of the overall plan of the New World Order? I don't know.
It is. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Uh, for someone like me, this has been going on for thousands of years. You go back 1,000 or 2,000 years or whatever, people didn't just have a nuclear family and that's it. They had an extended family. When they said, like, there's the movie The Ten Commandments, they talk about the house of Baca. Well, the house of Baca isn't just a house like we have today. It's a courtyard, cordoned off with walls with maybe 30 houses in them, and the entire family lived there. That was the house. Now we're down to only the nuclear family, mother, father, children, that's it. And now they're trying to get rid of that. It's been a progression to destroy connectedness between people. There's a reason behind all of this. This is why they have the term social engineering. I didn't make up this term. You go look at a dictionary or encyclopedia or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Social engineering, psychological operations, psyops. These things exist for a purpose, and people are using them.
well, psyops is used by the military. I mean,
It's a
that's
military type thing, but we are under a military attack, in my
again,
opinion.
for instance, now, Rack, the breakdown of the extended family. You could claim that that's one of the thrusts of the New World Order, but it could also be understood as an outgrowth of industrialization and specialization of work, where people were separated. It wasn't like the farm family. They got up together, worked the fields, went to bed together, and meals at a certain time, all that. So self-contained. Uh, the part of the family unit was broken up when people moved to the cities, got factory jobs, and became strangers to each other. Again, a natural outgrowth of the that kind of economic development. Whether it's a reflection of some overall hidden plan, in addition, not necessarily.
Well, there are many examples, not just one or two. Every time I hit one example, you break it apart because it's by itself. It's alone. It's by itself. It's the example, so it's easy to break apart. But these things are interconnected. All these things are interconnected. Social engineering is going on. If you watch television and movies with a discerning view to see what kind of lifestyles and so forth are being pushed, you can see it's an anti-Christian, anti-God lifestyle, anti-parents for younger people, uh, uh, and other things that I just can't say on YouTube. I'd like to be able to say more. There's a lot of things I can't say on YouTube.
Okay, and again, that could also be interpreted as hedonism. Anything goes, pleasure anywhere you could find it, which has been going on for thousands of years. The Roman Empire was replete with that as it was decaying before it finally fell. Was that socially engineered to destroy the Roman Empire? No, it was an outgrowth of them becoming fat and happy. And the crazed and incompetent um, Roman emperors that replaced the old Republican guard, where it was a republic, and the founders of that staunch values, hard work that built the empire. Then the empire got so posh, and everybody was just out for themselves, having a good time, and that's how it fell. I mean, was that intentionally engineered? I don't think so.
Let me explain it to you like this. You ever hear the old phrase, how to clap? How does it take? It takes two hands to clap. You got social engineering pushing in one direction, and you got the people who like it in another direction. Hey, who doesn't like sex, drugs, and rock and roll? I mean,
My
so
point.
you got social engineering pushing people to more of a decadent type lifestyle, and it's fun. I got I got to admit, it's fun all the way up until you smash yourself, and you have that downfall of yourself. uh, until you realize internally for the individual that you cannot do certain things to a certain extent because it will impact you negatively in the long run.
Again, what I'm saying is, I think there is some of that going on now because of um, the thrust of a lot of these political identity groups. They're purposely trying to erode traditional values. So yeah, that is social engineering. That's a political agenda. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, it's hard sometimes to distinguish that element that's affecting a change in society and just the natural evolution and deterioration of values because everybody's having a good time. And that's been going on through all kinds of rises and falls of civilizations and of political entities, of nations over the centuries. Part of it is
Well,
just a natural disintegration.
no, see, it's not all that way. Like I said, hands clapping, it takes two. It takes two. We have a push from those in the know to trying to steer the world in a certain direction, which is negative, and you got the people that are kind of enjoying it. And plus, they've been inundated with this. Every television show tells them how to live. Every movie tells them how to live. Their peers around them tell them how to live and what's normal and acceptable. And this is how we have the left. I got to thread carefully here what I say. This is another thing. The banning, the cancel culture. I can't even rebut what is going on because if I take it too far, your channel's in jeopardy, and I can't go that far.
Yeah, well, as a reporter, I've said time and time again, where is the outcry over the media censorship, which eventually will lead to state-controlled media, very dangerous, an existential threat to our republic, to democracy, to freedom. And, the nationally known reporters on the networks, not only are they not objecting to it, they're going along with it. They're cheerleaders for it. I mean, they're no longer objective reporters. They have agendas, and it all does seem to be coordinated in one direction. Uh, and this is such a danger to our way of life, where they're getting around the Constitution, they're getting around the First Amendments. College is now teaching kids what to think rather than how to think. Yeah, all that is done intentionally. But again, the overlying question here, the overlying unknown to me at least, is whether it's all being conducted and controlled behind the scenes by one hidden, nefarious, ancient new world order.
Well, I'll tell you what, whether it's ancient or not, I'll tell you what, if you find out who owns our Federal Reserve System, and you're going to head in the right direction because I don't think anybody actually knows who actually owns it.
It's illegal to find out. They've got that fixed that way. You can't actually know who owns the Federal Reserve, who owns,
and they are not subject to our government. There's no level of our government that has oversight over them to a point of telling them what to do.
I know the Federal Reserve is not controlled by the federal government.
Yet it makes all of our money. Yeah. It makes it from paper and ink, or a certain kind of paper and ink, and then it charges us face value. Okay, it charges the people face value for what they print of the bills, the denominations that they print. And in addition to that, they also charge interest if the government doesn't pay, compounded interest, nevertheless.
Well, Rack, we can get into this another time. We could spend all night here.
We could spend all night. Let's do it. I mean,
well, a lot of our viewers out there might not want to spend all night listening to us.
Oh, no. A lot of people like to put on a little show and listen to it as they go to sleep all night.
All right. Well, we'll continue for a while longer then.
Let's fly a little close to the sun then. Just a little. I'll be very careful. Sexuality.
All right. So where do you think all this is going? And how soon are we going to end up in the dire circumstances that you're predicting and fear?
Oh boy,
how soon?
We're almost at that level right now. They are now trying to bracelet people. That is the newest thing. That what they're also trying to do is this passport. Have you had your thing in the arm passport? And in other words, to fly, to visit other countries, to go anywhere, to do anything.
The
They're
green
trying to push.
passport, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not law yet. I mean, they may eventually
They're
take it.
heading in that direction, and I believe it is Israel now that is coming out with bracelets that already do that currently. That's some type of a tracking type thing and whatever. But we're heading in that direction. This has been predicted 2,000 years ago that you're not going to be able to buy or sell, etc.
You're talking about Revelations
Yeah, sure. Why not?
and the mark of the beast,
Sure,
666.
sure.
Well, let's hear about that because that's a one of the big themes of New World Order people such as yourself.
Well, I'm telling you, people can't take this level of it. You might be able to convince people that there's a group of people trying to control the world. That's itself is a very hard thing to overcome. Uh, However, if you start to get into the esoteric and to go back and say this is going on for thousands of years, and this has to deal with God and religion and Satan and angels and demons and giants that inhabited the earth, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. See, that's another thing. This thing with giants. Uh, no one knows about this. They think Jack and Beanstalk and that's it. But you do a search. If you actually do the research, you're going to find out that giants existed, or at least there's indications that they existed in this world hundreds of well, no, not hundreds, thousands, thousands of years ago. Let's say it that way. Thousands.
There's a passage in the Bible, and there were giants in the earth.
Genesis 6, 4 or something to that effect. Yes.
But again, you know, how much of that was myth? How much of it was
all of it was true. All of it was true. I wouldn't think so either. Okay. When I read that passage, if I read that passage 20 years ago, I'd be like, what is this? This is ridiculous. Until I started studying it. And it's like, whoa, there is evidence for giants. Do searches, do some studying, do some research. We have this wonderful tool called the internet, and nobody uses it.
All right, that gets us into another pet topic of mine and pet peeve of mine. The internet is a wonderful tool, even though now it's being censored, and you know they're trying to shape opinion and information according to the direction they want to go. And I agree with that. That's obvious what's going on, and it's getting worse. However, even now, if you know, you could use it, dance around that and get some information. But put the censorship part aside. You have to be very wise and have discretion in what you search for on the internet. You can't take things for face value, as many people do. If it's on the internet, it must be true. There's so much misinformation. There's so much hype. There's so much sensationalism on the internet. But there's also some real information that you won't get in the mainstream media. Some solid information from solid reporters.
So far.
But yeah, I know they're trying to control that too. But you have to be intelligent enough, or at least approach it intelligently enough to distinguish that, and not just be taken in by a lot of the entertainment sensational stuff that's you know you enjoy reading because you get a rush from it. You know, I mean, anything that's exciting, weird, bizarre is much more stimulating to the human mind and emotions than just reading intellectual, sequential, logical presentation of things. Again, you know, it's human nature to want to be entertained, to want to get emotionally involved rather than to make the effort to digest things intellectually. So that's the problem with indiscreet use of the internet.
This current problem we're having now, which I cannot mention because we would be censored in some fashion, is made up of supposedly 5 different combined things of a similar nature. Boy, these I can't say the words. But anyway, this particular thing that is affecting many people, that has them in lockdowns and whatnot, is made up of 5 similar things, different things, but similar, combined together, indicating it was man-made. There's many good reasons to purposely release such a thing for someone's that would be of the type that I'm talking about. They are benefiting from this. There's a control aspect, there's an economic aspect, big economic aspect. If well, we'll get in. See, I can't say these things on this particular platform. It's very hard to talk. I can't believe it's come to this level that I have to self-censor just because I'm afraid of you losing your channel.
I know it's going on. Yeah,
This is the United States of America, free speech.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of things that are going on to the detriment of people, and if they can't get past whether it's a conspiracy theory or we're in huge trouble. We can't even get past, like I said, first, but that's first base. We can't even get past first base. People have to look into this stuff. Their lives, their children's lives are in jeopardy. If they don't start to put that it's a conspiracy theory thing out of their mind, which prevents them from looking into it because they're afraid, they're shy, their ego might get bruised. What do people think of them? If people don't get past that, they're not going to find out. They have to study and search it. They have to put the time in.
what is the overall goal of the New World Order?
Complete control and also depopulation to the point of 7 billion people. Sometimes they even say more than 7 billion people. Only maybe have 100,000 people as servicing the elites. The elites then want to go to a transhumanization type thing where they take their mind, their essence, their brain, or some aspect of it and put it into a robot, put it into some type of maybe a clone, maybe constantly have clones and changing bodies all the time. Who knows? But they want some type of transhumanism. Look up transhumanism and you'll start to see that's where they want to go. They want to never die and to have people servicing them and them to be the gods of this earth, and maybe if we ever get off this earth, to extend it.
Let's come to a conclusion for this session, to be continued. Again, the overall goal is population control and reduction, and you say we're close
Complete
to that.
Control. They want complete control.
And again, as a closing statement here, what's the timetable? How close are we to that?
Very, extremely very, especially after this past change of leadership, because I don't want to say a particular word that starts with an E because that's a flag word. We had a change of leadership that I can't even go down that road either. That didn't look very good to me. But because of that, and because of what's happening with a country in Asia with the letter C, things are getting very dangerous. That country in Asia with the letter C is becoming very egotistical, if you want. They are pushing the boundaries of international peace. And I think they are enjoying it. And they're coming, we might have a problem with that very soon. And that will lead into other things. And I can't believe how censored we are here. I am self-censoring because of what I can't say. There's certain words I can't say.
Yeah, that does alarm me, and that is real, what's going on. Brack of Rack Attack Gamer YouTube channel, thanks for being with us, and this will definitely be continued. All of you out there, I hope you enjoyed this. Leave some comments, your reaction to this. And as I always sign out now is stay informed, stay curious, think for yourself, and please stay safe. See you later.